Final Fantasy is one of the most iconic video game franchises of all time. The mix of medieval fantasy vibes with futuristic steampunk brings past and future together to create a unique world full of possibility and wonder. With 16 mainline games currently out, many spin-offs, and tons of copycat games, the Final Fantasy series is a staple of JRPG greatness. So when they told us that we could finally get our hands on Final Fantasy XIV on an Xbox, first off, the graphics. Now remember, this game, at least The Realm Reborn, was released on PS3 and Windows in the summer of 2013. Taking into consideration that it has been 11 years since launch, this game looks pretty good. The style they chose, with the textures they chose, really bring out the light and dark of a fantasy setting. Gridania has great fantasy trees, while Ul'dah has nice desert caverns, and Limsa Limosas. Limsa Limosa. Limsa Limoninsa. Limsa Limosas. Limsa Limosas. Limsa Limosas. Coastal cliffs were fun to explore. Although, I will admit that the landscapes and the scenery have their potato moments, but the character models themselves are always clean, and the lighting does a lot to make up for the old 2013 visuals. And actually, Yoshi and the gang are releasing a new graphical update with their new expansion Dawn Trail coming summer of 2024. So if old 2013 graphics don't do it for you, there will be an update. Overall, the graphics of Final Fantasy XIV are decent and do not detract from the game in the slightest. I stay immersed in the game, and that is what matters for me. So, let's talk about gameplay. Okay, these mad lads over at Square Enix took a JRPG and jammed it into an MMO format, and it somehow works. So, let's talk traversal first. When just strolling around the world, the character at times feels stiff and rigid, but they provide an auto run feature which greatly assists your movements to be smoother and provide you with opportunity to look around as you travel. For real though, Chocobo is the best way to travel. When you are running around, there are mobs just scattered about. Some are hostile and initiate combat on sight, and others just mill around, living their best lives, just waiting to be farmed. This is actually a great feature. One of my least favorite things in MMOs is when every mob tries to attack you anytime you're slightly close. It gets annoying when the super easy low-level mobs just come after you while you're trying to read the map or read through what all your abilities do. But when you do initiate combat, in typical MMO style, your character auto-fights for you. This sounds boring, but they only basic attack, and it's the job of the player to use all the abilities of your class to build up the most damage possible. This creates a kind of chess-like battle with the enemy, as you pick what abilities to use in what order to maximize your damage, all the while moving out of the way of the mob's AoE attacks. So how do we feel about the combat? For us, at first, it was a bit basic, but as soon as you get more and more abilities, the combat really becomes engaging. With the different roles and classes, combat as a squad really starts to take shape. Tanks aggro the mobs, DPS put down damage, and healers, well, heal. Yet each class has their own formula, their own style, and their own fat damage abilities, so that all classes feel engaging and balanced. Classes really bring the game to life, and the best part is that your one character can be every single class, and you can switch between them on the fly. This lets you choose how you want to play for each scenario, being able to switch to tank or healer or DPS whenever needed to complement your group or just to change it up. I won't delve too deep here on the different classes, as there are a million guides on what to choose and why, but really it comes down to your style of play and your drip. Speaking of drip, there is a transmog system where you can turn clothes into glam that you can wear over your armor. You can then build different outfits and also switch them on the fly. Such a great quality of life feature that more games should employ. However, Snicker and I still look like noobs since glam is more of an endgame feature. The controls for this MMO have been translated very well for consoles. The game has been out on PlayStation for 11 years, so I'm sure it has been refined over time, but man, the controls feel buttery smooth. Plus, you can customize the button layout for all of your hotbar abilities, tailoring the game to what's comfortable for you. I would say our only complaint would be the lock-on system. When there is a ton of enemies or even other players, the lock-on system struggles to either select an enemy or deselect a friend. It can be frustrating at times, but otherwise the controller support is very well done. The entire UI is customizable as well, so you can remove all the crazy MMO UI and streamline it into a more pure JRPG view. I even ended up choosing the classic blue menu style from the OG Final Fantasy games. It really hits that nostalgia sweet spot for me. But what about the multiplayer parts of the MMO? Actually, they're really good. You can see all the other players and all their different outfits going about all their different adventures. There's a grouping system where you can build a party with your friends for dungeon raids and random quests. And there's a market board that provides a place to sell and buy things with the community at large. And these are just the multiplayer parts we have been exposed to so far. The game really does feel like an MMO in its prime, despite its age. The one downside as of now is that free trial players can't create their own group. And even without the grouping up, Snicker and I have joined the same server and can still fight side by side, or you could just have like a veteran group you up, as the community is super friendly and very helpful. Literally have not met a nicer gaming community. Shout out to Rue for grouping us up and carrying us through a fun dungeon raid. The dungeons are pretty great, and you can really see the balancing of the class system shine when you're raiding. Gaming with friends is always a major selling point for us, so we're pretty happy with the multiplayer. Overall gameplay is engaging and intriguing. I feel a desire to try out all of the classes and find the one that fits best for me. I like the casual combat that can all of a sudden turn intense, and the easy exploration that lets me sit back and enjoy the game without trying too hard. It's a refreshing MMO that takes the classic formulas for gameplay but does not overwhelm you out the gate. Story. Now, all of this is fine, but if the story of a game sucks, then there is nothing but the grind to hold players in. Fortunately, Square Enix is no slouch when it comes to story. The Realm Reborn is just the beginning of a long epic that they have been telling over the past 10 years. With 4 major expansions released, Heavensward in 2015, Stormblood in 2017, Shadowbringers in 2019, and Endwalker in 2021, there is tons of story to play through. And from what I hear, it only gets better and better. For me, that is fantastic news, as I am already happy with the current story. Hero drops into world, people don't remember some things, you ease your way in by meeting the main leaders of the towns, and every time you think you get the hang of the world and flow, boom! They throw a cutscene at you with a battle that leaves more questions than answers, pulling you forward to discover the secrets that Eorzea is hiding. Did I butcher that one too? There are tons of side quests with the classic go here, kill 3 mobs, come back, deliver this message, you know, the classics. The main story, however, is very engaging, and the lore is deep, so anybody who loves fantasy RPGs will love the narrative told here. Final Fantasy XIV is a fantastic MMO. Top tier design and gameplay, with decent graphics and an intriguing story that really brings in players and keeps them engaged. And what's the best part? The giant free trial you get to play before spending a single dime. You know us at Barely Making Rent, and you know we are always looking for the best deals in gaming. This is probably the best deal in gaming we have found ever.
How about you bitch? You make that deal?
I'd make that deal.
I don't blame you. Damn good deal.
Oh, and in addition to the whole free trial being great, there is also no store in-game. The microtransaction store is completely separate from the game, which is so refreshing. And the fact that they don't beg you for money every 5 seconds is phenomenal. As you can see, I have a lot of love for this game already, and I could keep going for days. But this was just an impressions video of the game on Xbox, and man, I could not be happier with this port. I will play through all of the free content, and then for sure invest into the expansions. So please comment below, and let's keep this conversation going. Are you playing the Xbox Open Beta? What character race did you pick? What guilds did you join? What are your motivations? Do you have any tips for noob players like us? Please? And as always, become the best you can be. Become a hero of light. Believe it.
Halt, go no further.
What's this then?
Take up arms and join the Knights of Ren for emojis, exclusive content, and more.
I dare say, what a deal.
Believe it.